Manchester City versus Tottenham coming up tomorrow in a game with interesting storylines, in my opinion, through multiple different ways to look at it. Manchester City, obviously, they need to win this game to keep destiny within their own hands of the Premier League title race. Tottenham, they have an outside chance of reaching the top four. They don't control their own destiny, but they win their last two games and get help by, I believe, Aston Villa take on Crystal Palace. If they could get help from Crystal Palace, maybe that helps push them into the Champions League. But they do need help. They don't control their own destiny, even if they win this game and their next game. But there's a lot of interesting storylines going all around when it comes to the game, the tactics, all that, and also maybe the motivation for Tottenham not wanting Arsenal to win the league. That will cover all that. But real quick, let's just go strictly on the game. Manchester City entering this game, great form since they got eliminated by Real Madrid in the Champions League. They're on a 5-game win streak, and technically they haven't lost a game since, I believe, I don't remember when's the last time they've lost a game. Actually, it's been a long time since they lost a game. I'm looking back at this. I believe it's Villa. It might be Villa. I don't think they've lost a game in 2024. I don't think Man City has lost a game in 2024. I'm looking at their fixture list right now. Yeah, I mean, they lost a tie against Real Madrid, but technically they've finished 3-3 first leg and 1-1 second leg. They didn't end up actually losing that game. They lost on penalties. But in terms of within the game, Manchester City has not lost a game in 2024, which is actually phenomenal when you look at it from an Arsenal perspective, who are still in the title race up to this point. But yeah, Manchester City, only 3 losses on the league, haven't lost a single game in 2024. Within the 90 minutes, they lost that tie to Real Madrid, but it went to penalties, and they didn't actually end up losing any of those 2 games. It was 4-4 in aggregate, 3-3 first leg, 1-1 second leg. But then this is a Tottenham team, on the other hand, who are coming in horrible form. They did beat Burnley, knocked them out of the league a few days ago, but they've lost to Liverpool, they lost to Chelsea, they lost to Newcastle, they lost to Arsenal. 4-game losing streak. They ended up beating Burnley, and Tottenham do have a good record. Manchester City has not actually scored a goal at this new Tottenham stadium. Tottenham is undefeated against Manchester City at this new stadium since they've moved into this new stadium. It's going to be a very attacking, open-ended, amazing game to watch, just because of the way Tottenham play, just because of the way Man City play in possession. It's going to be fabulous for me as a neutral, but it could also go very, very wrong for Tottenham, the way that they like to play. I think Manchester City, if they get a goal early, it could be very... But on the other hand, Tottenham, my thing is, will Tottenham's crowd really be in it? Will the atmosphere really be up to it? Because you're looking at it from a Tottenham's fan's perspective. Do you really want to win the game? I can almost assure you, if you go to the average Tottenham, they could care less about the result tomorrow. I think even if they make top 4, if they could prevent Arsenal from winning the league, they will throw away appearance in the Champions League. That's the rivalry, the tense rivalry between Arsenal and Tottenham. One of the biggest rivalries, not in football, but in sports in general. If you ask the fan, I don't think they particularly care what happens tomorrow, even the fact that they're in the top 4 race. Now, if you look at it from a Tottenham's player or manager perspective, obviously they can't tank the game, because when you're a player, when you're playing, that's not what you think about. If you look at it and you're seeing another jersey in front of you, you're not gonna subconsciously think, oh man, Arsenal, they're gonna win the league. Let me let um, Kevin De Bruyne glide back by me. Oh yeah, let me let Haaland win this header over me. Let's forget about that. That's not gonna happen. But will the crowd be into it? Will the atmosphere be electric? I have my huge doubts on that. Huge doubts on that. Um, Pep Guardiola did come out and say they have to win this game or they will not win the Premier League, which is not an outlandish statement to make, but a little bit for me, just a little quite irresponsible. Because what if you do draw this game? You know, that statement is technically not true. Arsenal can very much draw points. I'm not saying it'll happen. Likely, unlikely, very unlikely, but it can happen. So you don't want to, you know, obviously him saying it doesn't mean anything, but you know, you don't want to make it seem like a disaster point in the City locker room, in the City, in the atmosphere if you end up dropping points in this game, because you know Tottenham is a good team and it's a team that you know not have much success with in recent years, especially at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But no, Spurs fan, 99% of Spurs fans do not want to win this game. Let's just get that clear. Ange Postecoglou said Tottenham will go all out to win. He said there's a pretty simple notion to this. There's a game of football tomorrow night. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think we're going to do as a team or any team on this planet? Are we going to go to try and win? Postecoglou said it's a simple, basic premise. How that makes people feel, I'm not really fussed. I don't really care. I hate to think anybody thinks we will go out there tomorrow night with anything other than trying to measure ourselves against a top team and maybe win a game of football that is consequential. How are we going to become a team that wins things if we don't win the big games, if we shy away from it? I understand rivalry. I was part of one of the biggest ones in the world the last couple of years with Celtics and Rangers. I understand rivalry, but I will never understand if somebody wants their own team to lose. He also added, this is not what sport is about. This is not what I love about the game. What I love more than anything is the competitiveness of it. Challenge yourself. You beat someone to be successful. And he goes on and on and on. Look, I understand the statement he's trying to make, but at the end of the day, you got to understand there's a tense rivalry between Arsenal and Tottenham. And that's also part of the game. That's also part of the competitive spirit. And not wanting to see your rivals win a title that you've never even won, I don't think that's a lack of competitiveness. I just think they understand there's objectives first. Like, you understand, you know, you reaching top 4 is not equivalent to Arsenal winning a title. The joy of you getting top 4 is not gonna it's not gonna be over the fact of the misery of them winning a Premier League. So I don't completely agree with that statement, but I do understand these are football players. They're not gonna go out and lose the game. No way. As far as City point of view, I think a goal early will be very, very key. A goal or early, forcing Tottenham to come and press up even more, to play more aggressive than normally that they do, and then to take advantage by players with the quality you have of De Bruyne, Haaland. I think Haaland will be huge in this game. If Tottenham does go with that ridiculously high line that they employ, with the pace of Haaland running in behind, with guys like De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva being able to play him the balls in, I think he'll have much joy in this game, finding space in behind that Tottenham backline to run. Van der Sar is going to be very, very important in keeping Haaland at bay, especially if Haaland is able to get in behind. His pace and his recovery is going to be very, very, very important for Tottenham if they want any chance of winning this game. If they want any chance of this winning game, Van der Ven and his pace protecting that back line is going to be very, very important. Give me 1 second. And look, a lot of people are thinking this is essentially the title race decider. This is Manchester City's last difficult game. Manchester City, they play West Ham, a West Ham team that's kind of, you know, they're ninth place. It's gonna be David Moyes' send-off game. The game will be at the Etihad. It'll be a tough proposition for West Ham to go in to do something there. So, this is really the decider tomorrow. I think tomorrow decides who's going to win the title race, the Premier League title. And for me, I'm going to say Manchester City take care of it and take care of West Ham and still win the title, despite Arsenal pushing it back to the last day.